What's up, guys? In this video, I just want to give you guys some business advice while I play basically RuneScape. Now, first of all, I actually uncovered a lot of demons while building my business. There's a lot of like hidden devils when it comes to wealth creation. It's not the idea of money itself that is the actual evil part of it. It is a lot of other things that you go through while you are building your business that is the actual bad part. So I don't want to necessarily encourage you to have your own business, but if you do, you know, this is advice that I uncovered along the way. I had to become a man to realize that God is more important than money. Oddly enough, being a young guy full of adrenaline and the fire was burning like really bright at the age of 20, and now I'm 30 and I just don't have the same mentality toward it that I used to, you know. I think a good attitude to have toward business is you gotta have winners and you gotta have losers. And I want to be a fucking winner, you know, if I can, anyways, you know. But never develop the mentality that someone else is a loser. Like in a negative sense. I mean, people that pay the bills and have jobs, keep in mind they work for someone like you who owns a business. That's where they found their destiny in the world. And I'm just an old soul living his destiny. This is just my eternal promise that I get to be rich in my final form, you know. So this year I plan to add, I'm not sure how much, maybe between 100 and 200 million onto my net worth. But I still take disability, so I'm broke cash-wise. But I have all this money, right? So it doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but I'm considered, I guess, I consider myself I'm considered, I guess, a high net worth individual, even though I don't have a whole lot of cash. It's very possible to be considered rich and not have a lot of cash. But for me, I always keep God first in my life. I'm just kind of waiting on destiny to unfold. And I really am kind of a go with the flow kind of person. I don't have much more aspiration in my life to do anything else. I really just want to go with the flow. and serve God and live a good life. You know, that's all I really want to do. You know, so yeah, business advice. Let me think about this for a minute. Go fucking hard. I mean, if you're gonna have a business, it's in your interest to work like every hour of every day. Or is there we go with the wood cutting level. Almost to say like Elon Musk has like coined the phrase of work like every waking hour. But he is one of like 50% of us that really do work like every waking hour. This year, I'm taking a couple months off. For the first time in 10 years, I'm taking a couple months off just to recharge my batteries, you know, to escape burnout. And you know, yeah, so pretty much business is just what I do for money at this point. I don't really have any aspirations to be like completely obsessed or anything like that, or business is really just what I do to make money. I might work like, you know, 8 hours a day, you know, and you'll find that after a while, once you make all the money that you need, whether if that's $10 million or $100 million, or if you become a billionaire, you know, once you make all the money that you need, you find that it gets pretty boring. It's a little bit uninteresting. I don't find too much inspiration to work like every waking hour. You know, I might work like 8 hours a day, maybe 10 hours a day sometimes. Sometimes maybe like 12 hours a day, and then that's it. And then it's just like, I want to spend my time enjoying my life. So, pretty much, yeah, if you're gonna do it, go fucking hard. You know, until you reach your goal, you should be working like every waking hour. But, in the meantime, you know, basically is up to you when you start. So I built a portfolio of over $100 million in 10 years, but you know, 90% of that happened in the past 2 years. and understand that, you know, your time is worth money. That is a concept that that I think we need to revisit as a community. Is that your time is worth money. Your time has value. And the more you learn, the more valuable your time is. And pretty much, you know, so the sooner you get started, the sooner you get to be basically, if you become successful, the sooner you start, the sooner you get to become successful. So pretty much, you know, um, try to your goal starting out should be to master like one thing. You want to find what your thing is and master it and optimize it, and by the time you really should be jumping between ideas very quickly. If your first idea doesn't work, you should be building your second idea within probably about like 4 months or 2 months. Because I always had the idea that something that is going to work is going to work very quickly, right? If something is going to work very well in the long term, is something that's going to work very quickly in the short term. So when I was building my first business, I kind of poured everything into it. And I found that my first idea didn't work, and then my second idea didn't work, and then, you know, I probably on my sixth business, I actually started making a little bit of money. It was like my sixth or seventh business where I started making a little bit of money. And I built that business to about 6 figures per year, but I did not follow my own principle, which is where I went wrong. I didn't double down, and I didn't master that business, and I did not start optimizing that business right away. So my Amazon store, which is what I was doing at the time, I tried the Amazon store for a little while. And I found that my mind just snapped to like another idea. So I started working on another idea, and then I went back to the Amazon store. Oddly enough, my second attempt at the Amazon store, that's when I started to make money. I was basically reselling items on Amazon from thrift stores. And then I doubled down on that the first time, and I bought some bulk quantity of products from Alibaba, and pretty much that started to make me like 2K a week. And then I did not double down on it. I did not reinvest in more inventory. So pretty much within 4 months, or within about 6 months, I went from making my first dollars online to making six figures, to then my store got shut down. So pretty much I was back to ground zero. And and side note, you wonder what I would do today if I was back to ground zero today? Is, well, I would probably start selling digital products, or really my method is...
Oh, thank you, sir.
You're welcome. I would just do my little thing again of how I did it the first time, and then just do it again. It's a replicable method. It's a method that you could do over and over and over. And pretty much, you know, yeah, so pretty much so yeah, and then I started a YouTube channel, and I put some serious editing into my videos, but I did not have an editor at that time. And I still don't have an editor, in case you couldn't tell. So learning from my mistakes, I went with a method that could produce like very little income. So I went from like I went from making six figures to trying to make like, if I could make like $100 a day, that would have been like the best it would have gotten at that time. And my whole life that I had before then was crumbling underneath me. And I was no longer like making money, pretty much. So learning from my mistakes, when you get something that works, double down on it, because you never know when that method is going to get used up, or if your store gets closed down, or if Facebook ads like kicks you off, or anything could happen. So you keep in mind, let's go back to basic financial principles 101. Business is all about making money for the long term. Okay. Business is all about making money for the long term. There's no guarantee that your business is going to be around in 10 years. So you should double down on whatever it is you're doing, and just try to optimize for your best case scenario. Try to deploy your best case scenario, right? Because, like I said, there's no guarantee that your business is even going to be around in 10 years. So, think of it as like every 100,000 you make, or every 10,000 you make, or every million you make is like, that's money that you should be tucking away for the long term. So right now I consider myself like basically a billionaire in net worth. So that means that I need to double down now harder more than ever before. If I lose the opportunity to make this kind of money in 30 years, I might really regret it. But also, I'm not sure if I even want to do the business thing, because the business thing comes along with a lot of like devils and evils that people shouldn't really be. Is like a deal with the devil almost, to say like, yeah, I'll do it, but there's like asterisks, there's like fine print underneath the contract, right? So pretty much, I don't want my daughter or my kid to grow up with thinking that she's superior to other people and feeling like, you know, somehow, and being exposed to these evils, you know, because it's really God at the end of the day that supplies the money and all the other stuff that you get when you become an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is a pride sport. And whenever you're dealing with people historically, let's go back 50 years ago. If you decide to play this game of entrepreneurship, you're basically making a deal with the devil right there, to say like, something might happen to your fucking ass. Someone might have you fucking killed 50 years ago. It's a little bit harder to do that nowadays, but I guess it's still fucking possible, you know? And it's like, I just don't know if I want my family to be exposed to shit like that. Even though maybe so that the only person I really give a fuck about is myself. And I'm honest when I say that. I care about God, and I care about myself, and I care about my kid, and that's pretty much it. So before you get into business, think about the people that you're responsible for, and think about their safety and their health, and them being able to kind of like feel at peace with their life. And let me think of some other business advice. let's think about business is a big toll on your time. It is a big take on your time. It takes from your life a lot, you know. Um, if you really think about it, there's almost is better than a job. I would say entrepreneurship is like better than working a job, but it's not like astronomically that much better if you really think about it. Your best day, your best days as an entrepreneur happen when you retire, after you retire. But most people never even reach that fucking point. Uh, and you know, it's pretty much signing an agreement saying that you're gonna work for the rest of your life 12 hours a fucking day. And who's really sure that you're really willing to do that in 20 years when you've made all your money and and you don't care for the sport of entrepreneurship anymore? You know, who really knows how you're really going to feel about that? Because there's always more money to make. You know, there's always more money that could be made. And and yeah, so especially when the stakes are high, it's hard to put everything down and do your job for God when the stakes are high. So if I have $50 billion on the line, how am I supposed to decide in a moment's notice that my job for God is more important than making $50 billion? Is like, you just gotta decide, and you gotta have a lot of money so that making decisions like that in a moment's notice, making those types of decisions is very easy. How are you supposed to keep on your mind on your money and God at the same time? Well, most of us, I think, I don't underestimate the intelligence of the average person to say that most people pretty much can figure out what's really important in life, and that is your job in the divine spectrum. When you have to make unreasonable decisions for your career that don't make any fucking sense in the grand scheme of things, but that's your orders from God, that's what you have to do. You know, how are you supposed to make crazy fucking decisions in a moment's notice? That's the big question that's on my mind lately. When your price point might be, you know, $30, and then God is asking you to sell your product for $4.99, and you're barely even making a profit, you know, or whatever it might be, because being a disruptive entrepreneur means that you have to meet with the destinies of mankind at exactly the right time. I guess you could do it at like a smaller scale. A lot of people make a lot of money doing things at a smaller scale. Like I'm making this video right now. Who's to say if this video is meant to be like a part of the grand destiny of mankind and is supposed to change hundreds of lives, or tens or hundreds or thousands of lives. I usually get about like 20 views on my videos, maybe sometimes like a few hundred. And that's what I've boiled it down to, is being a disruptive entrepreneur is meeting with the grand destiny of mankind at a large scale. So you, the CEO and the money maker, it's your job, because it's your job to because to God you are money. The life is a business. It's God's job and intention to create as much positive life experience as possible. And so you as the moneymaker, you just have to be the one to push the buttons to make everything work. And you're the one that fought the big fight for your place in the grand destiny of mankind. You know, my thing is, all I ever did was go with the flow. I did not forge my own path in life. I am an average motherfucker that is an old soul. I'm pretty much the citizen standard of old souls. And then you have like the fighter type that fight to become champions. And I am not a champion. I fought for my place in eternity, being heaven. Hopefully, right? I don't know what is waiting ahead of me at the end of time. But I fought for my place in eternity just fine. I did everything I was supposed to do. And I was not very, like, I didn't take, like, too many risks, you know. So I get to be, like, the CEO of my own company. At least that's my understanding. So, yeah, you could be like, in this life, you could be like anything you want, but the point is you got to make money, and so you may as well do something to make some money while you pursue your other passions, and at the same time witness everything mystical and wonderful about this world. And being a high net worth individual, I encourage you to look around and really recognize how crazy life really is. You know, all the work that went into building this universe that we live in is completely crazy. And you know, I want to see everything. You know, I want to see everything. I want to see the good, all the best shit. I want to see like all the craziest inventions. Like, people take shit for granted. Like windows. You know, glass windows. I don't know who invented Windows, but to me that is like fucking amazing. To be able to look through like a piece of glass to see what's on the other side, to me that's like incredible. Like a chair. A lot of time went into like all the simple shit that most people take for granted, that I took for granted most of my life. Imagine life, but being like the natural universe, and imagine life being like the video game that I'm playing right now. Like how much time went into creating this video game, and then imagine like how much time went into creating the life that we live today. To me, is fucking amazing. Money, if I just had a simple apartment and was able to just look out the window, that would be like sufficient enough of a life, and a good life. That would be like sufficient enough of a life for me, right? No computers, just like sitting in a chair with like a bed, you know, to be able to sleep in, and like a job. That would not be such a bad life. But when you're young, you look at that and you think like, I would rather do anything than do that shit. And then for me, that was me when I was 20. Now I'm 30. And I see like the beauty in like a simple life. And I wouldn't mind like doing that, you know. So at the end of the day, find beauty in the, as they say, the little things in life, the things that most people take for granted. Having like a human body, having like, you know, in this day and age, in this age,
Thank you, Jesus. Right. Thank you, Jesus. Right.
in this day and age, we've got nothing to complain about.
Thanks, Lord.
So thank you, God.
Thanks, God. Good.
Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys later.